We are starting with Raw as Gunther walked to the ring for an interview with Jackie Redmond, which was set to touch on Priest's comments calling Gunther a weak version of his former self. Before the champion could respond, Priest interrupted, asking Gunther to say what he wanted right in front of him, but didn't give the champion much room to take the mic. Instead, Priest said he knew why Gunther was under so much pressure, claiming that the ring general knows his reign as World Heavyweight Champion is ending. Without saying a word, Gunther attacked Priest with the mic, dropping him to the floor, but Priest gained the upper hand when the fight spilled out of the ring. Priest sent Gunther through the announce table with a razor's edge as officials rushed to separate the two, and a team of referees fought to take control of the situation. Priest asked Gunther what had become of him if he lost to someone from the streets, and we'll find out the answer to this question soon enough should the ring general lose in Canada. Now, in recent years, WWE has established a pattern that if someone dominates on the go-home show before a PLE, it typically means that they'll lose the all-important match. With Damian dominating the World Heavyweight Champion on Raw, this trend seemingly hints at Priest losing this weekend when the pair battle for the gold. With that said, this pattern is not an exact science, and while it's been followed in many PLE matches, there are exceptions, leaving room for speculation that Priest could win the gold. Fans only need to look at Crown Jewel as Cody Rhodes had the momentum going into the show and would defeat Gunther in Riyadh to become the first Crown Jewel champion. On the other hand, WWE has given another tease that Priest could lose due to interference from the Judgment Day, as Finn Balor remarked on Raw that Priest is fixated on regaining the gold. The idea of this infuriated Balor, whose mission is to keep the title away from his former ally, and his segment suggested that the Prince could interfere at Survivor Series, proving that the issues between the two are not over yet. It's plausible that just as Priest is on the verge of winning, Balor might cost him the match at the very last moment in what would be a heartbreaking setback for the former champion. Whatever happens, there's a lot of what-ifs going into this title match, which makes the bout all the more exciting as two of Raw's top stars are ready to rip each other apart in Vancouver. What do you make of these hints? Is this feud just another way of elevating Gunther as a heel champion, or will Priest shock fans by regaining the gold? Share your predictions down below. Since last Friday, fans have discussed Jade Cargill's injury and how it will affect her tag team with Bianca Belair, and on Raw, the EST gave an update on her friend. Naomi was backstage with Belair and asked for an update on Jade, and Belair responded by stating how bad the situation is and that Jade won't be back for a minute. This was Belair's way of saying that Jade will be out for some time, but Naomi had an interesting response to this update on the reigning women's tag team champion. As Belair spoke about Jade, Naomi quickly moved the topic on to finding a fifth woman for the Wargames team, and many are speculating that Naomi was the one who attacked Cargill. The rest of the segment saw Io Sky suggest Kairi Sane as the fifth member, while Naomi suggested Bayley to the reluctance of Belair, who hardly trusts the role model. Rhea Ripley interrupted their bickering, and Belair mockingly asked her who the fifth member should be, since she decided that the group was Team Rhea. Ripley didn't care as long as Liv Morgan was left for her, as Mommy is hungry to get revenge on the woman who's made her life miserable in 2024. While the face team may not be on the same page, that didn't stop Bianca Belair from earning the advantage for her team with a huge win on Raw over Nia Jax. Jax was able to woman-handle Belair multiple times, but the EST capitalized on late interference from Bayley to get the win following a perfect 450 splash. As Raw wrapped up, Bayley and Belair exchanged glances, suggesting that the team had found their fifth member and rested some of the tensions between the two dating back to their summer 2022 feud. The Bayley reveal was well done, but the match itself felt clunky at times, especially when Belair took an exposed turnbuckle spot like no big deal, but when Jax hit it, it ended the match. Spots like that hurt the overall quality, but we're looking ahead to SmackDown, and if you don't want to be spoiled, we recommend skipping the next 30 seconds of this video. Since this Friday's SmackDown was taped last week, we can confirm that Bayley will replace Cargill in Wargames, and interestingly, Bayley and Naomi were at the ambulance when Jade was taken away. Perhaps it was Bayley who took out Cargill to ensure herself a spot on the Survivor Series card, and she and Naomi are currently the two leading suspects among fans. Brian Alvarez has reported that Cargill could be out for nearly 3 months, and she may not be back until February, and the puzzle about her assailant will likely be solved when she's back. According to the Judgment Day, the faction has no designated leader, but that hasn't stopped Finn Balor from asserting himself as in command in recent weeks. Recently, Balor criticized Dominic Mysterio for his and Carlito's loss to the Viking Raiders, but tried to put a positive spin on things, speaking of the importance of defeating foes going forward. Balor also mentioned Liv Morgan needing an ally for her Wargames match with Rhea Ripley at Survivor Series, and during Balor's rant, Dominic's subtle reactions spoke volumes. While the rest of the group paid attention, Dominic's expression suggested he was uninterested and possibly irritated by Balor's would-be leadership. Mysterio was clearly frustrated, and this isn't the first sign of an issue, as a few weeks back a heated argument between the two fueled speculation of a potential betrayal. Speaking of Survivor Series, it's been announced that the main show will kick off at 6 p.m. Eastern, with the countdown show beginning at 4 p.m. in Canada. As for the recent segment, Balor reiterated that the Judgment Day has no leader and described the group as a happy, successful family, though Mysterio's behavior suggests otherwise. Balor also referred to the group's clubhouse as his, a line that irked other members of his happy family, and out of nowhere, R-Truth made a surprise appearance. Truth tried to be a part of this family for some time and told Balor he needed a hiding spot away from Pete Dunne, who Truth continued to call Butch. Balor said things would get worse for Truth if he continued to stay in his clubhouse, and Truth, misinterpreting their relationship, responded by stating Thanksgiving was canceled. Once again, Dominic Mysterio had an interesting reaction, as did Liv Morgan, all while Balor said they'd be a happy, successful family if they listened to his advice. Carlito and Raquel Rodriguez displayed apathy to what Balor was saying, and only JD McDonagh seemed genuinely interested in what his tag team partner was spewing. Whether this means the cracks are beginning to form, that remains to be seen, and it'll be interesting to see how the Judgment Day's dynamic evolves as we near the end of 2024. Could Dominic Mysterio betray Finn Balor due to his overbearing behavior, or will the faction once again find a way to mend their growing rift? In only their second tag title defense on TV, the Judgment Day retained the World Tag Team titles against the War Raiders after a controversial finish to their match. This was the champions' first defense on TV in 70 days, with their previous defense being on the September 16th episode of Raw, where they retained against the New Day. Many have criticized their reign for making the titles an afterthought, so it's no surprise that fans were eager to see the titles move to the War Raiders on Raw. The challengers dominated with their strength late into the match and were poised to win until Dominic Mysterio and Carlito appeared to provide a distraction. Balor used Ivar's beard to pull him off the ropes and hang him on the top rope, with McDonagh scoring the win with a cheap roll-up to end a good match with a unique finish. The finish reminded the power-hungry Balor that he still needs Dominic and the others to ensure he wins, and it also protected the Viking Raiders, so it worked in two ways. Fans weren't happy to see the Judgment Day retain, as the belief among many is that a new team, any team holding the gold, would result in more title defenses. This lack of defenses is only highlighted further when you look at SmackDown, where the Motor City Machine Guns can be found regularly defending the gold. But what do you think? Were you hoping to see Eric and Ivar win this match? Are the titles becoming an afterthought with the Judgment Day? Sound off below. On last week's SmackDown, CM Punk made his return as the fifth member of Team OG Bloodline at Wargames, but he and Roman Reigns hardly seemed like best friends. The pair had a tense stare-down in the ring during Punk's return, which also saw the return of Paul Heyman, someone who's worked closely with both men over the years. Now fans will get to see Punk and Reigns face-to-face again, as on Raw, Sami Zayn shared that Punk and Reigns will sit down this Friday on SmackDown to settle any animosities. In the Raw segment, the very moment it was questioned if Punk could be trusted, Jimmy Uso said he definitely could, in an interesting response from him. There was also a moment where Paul Heyman winked at Jimmy Uso, leaving fans to continue to speculate that Heyman could turn on Roman and align with CM Punk. Now fans have to wonder if Jimmy could also be a part of that betrayal, as excitement continues to build following Punk's return last Friday and his face-to-face with the OTC. WWE revealed that their video of Punk's return has scored over 72 million views on social media, more than any other moment from SmackDown. But what did you make of Jimmy's response to questions about Punk on this week's Raw? Is something going on with Jimmy, Punk, and Heyman? Share your thoughts down below. Last month, it was reported that Vince McMahon was planning on launching his own entertainment company, his biggest move since his exit from WWE back in January. This news sent shockwaves in the wrestling community as McMahon is looking to help produce film and TV projects, and now we have an update on his situation. Speaking to Wrestling Shoot interviews, Eric Bischoff was asked about McMahon's new venture and shared that he has a credible source, a high-profile agent who knows all about Vince's plans. According to this source, McMahon recently purchased property in Santa Monica, California, one of the most expensive commercial areas in the state. McMahon has also acquired production facilities as part of his new venture and has reportedly brought in Kristen Prouty, who previously worked for WWE in public relations. Prouty's work helped WWE connect with Hollywood celebrities for appearances, and she worked with WWE for about 10 years and built a ton of experience, though didn't report directly to McMahon. Vince has hired another former WWE PR team member, though her name was not mentioned, and she was cut last week after WWE's merger with TKO saw a lot of staff lose their jobs. Now both Prouty and this other ex-employee are working for McMahon, who's putting a strong team together for his plans, but nothing may be announced anytime soon. That's because, according to Bischoff, McMahon is waiting for his legal issues to be resolved, including the SEC investigation and the multiple lawsuits against the billionaire. Once those are settled, McMahon is expected to announce plans for his company, though that plan could depend on the outcome of these legal matters. McMahon reportedly does not plan on launching a new wrestling promotion, but won't be removed from the wrestling industry entirely, according to Bischoff's source. One project McMahon is working on is his perspective of the Monday Night Wars, with Bischoff saying that he's got a version that no one else has heard before. Bischoff did admit that the war between Raw and Monday Nitro has been done to death, so it'll be interesting to see what new take McMahon can give on this infamous period of time. It'll also test McMahon's relationship with WWE, as the promotion owns the rights to footage of Raw and WCW at the time, footage that McMahon will likely need for this project. As we said, McMahon's big plans could hinge on the legal matters going in his favor, including the SEC investigation being handled by the Department of Justice. In the interview, Bischoff discussed the impending return of Donald Trump to office and how Trump, a friend of McMahon, could affect the situation. He said, "Regarding the SEC investigation, that's under the Department of Justice, which falls under the executive branch. Could political shifts, like Trump potentially being in power again, influence the outcome? Sure, it's possible, but will it? I honestly don't know, and I don't even want to guess. Politics is so unpredictable these days that it's hard to even speculate." Are you looking forward to Vince McMahon's new company and the new Monday Night Wars project? Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. Going into Raw, Survivor Series Wargames already had a blockbuster card, but now another explosive title match has been added to this weekend's premium live event. On Raw, Wade Barrett delivered his signature "I'm afraid I've got some bad news" line to reveal that LA Knight will defend the US title against Shinsuke Nakamura this weekend. Despite Barrett's claim, it's hardly bad news that the two talented stars will face off, as the pair have been at odds since Nakamura's huge return a few weeks ago. As for Knight, he's spent months proving himself as US champion, and it was after he concluded his business with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade that Nakamura attacked the champ. Nakamura has blindsided Knight more than once since his return, and has been focused on regaining the United States title he last held in early 2019. With Nakamura finally getting a title opportunity, this will be a memorable collision, and perhaps Knight's greatest test to prove himself as a fighting champion. Should Nakamura win the gold to continue his momentum under his new character since returning? Share your thoughts on this match in the comments section. The excitement didn't stop after this week's Raw, as in a dark match, LA Knight faced Santos Escobar, and the US champion got the win to the delight of the live crowd. Cody Rhodes was also in action as he took on Solo Sikoa after Raw, and it was the undisputed WWE champion who ended the night standing tall after hitting a crossroads through a table. These post-show matches were a bonus treat for the live crowd after a stacked episode of Raw that served as the go-home show for this weekend's much-anticipated Survivor Series Wargames. Adam Pearce announced another huge match for Survivor Series during this week's Raw after another massive brawl broke out during the show. Since Braun Breaker regained the Intercontinental title from Jey Uso a few weeks ago, competition for the gold has been heating up, with Sheamus wanting to finish the Grand Slam. Last week, Sheamus faced Breaker for the gold, but was robbed of the opportunity, with Ludwig Kaiser attacking him, and the German laid out both Sheamus and the champion. On this week's Raw, Kaiser and Breakker faced in non-title action, and things were going Kaiser's way in perhaps the biggest singles showcase of his on the main roster to date. There was a particularly painful spot as Breakker ran around the ring to try and hit Kaiser with the spear, only for Kaiser to dodge and Braun going shoulder first into the announce table's corner. Kaiser was able to maintain control, and while a win would have done huge things for the Imperium member, this time it was Sheamus's turn to play spoiler and attack him from behind. Breakker then confronted the Celtic Warrior and the pair started brawling, and soon enough, all three men brawled at ringside and had to be separated by officials. Adam Pearce arrived to announce a triple threat match for the title at Survivor Series Wargames, and it'll be interesting to see who leaves Canada with the title. Will Sheamus finally win the title that's eluded him, or will Breakker find a way to retain? Perhaps Kaiser will shock fans by winning his first singles title. Give us your pick to win below. The Miz shared to the Final Testament that the Wyatt Six were at Raw, resulting in Karrion Kross's group going looking for the group, but without Scarlett. The Smoke Show was told to stay put as Kross wanted to protect his wife, but when she was alone, Scarlett spotted Nikki Cross in the mirror, waiting for her to be all by herself. After a commercial break, the Final Testament returned to their locker room, which was left in chaos, and Scarlett was an emotional wreck and seems to have been emotionally tortured. On the mirror, the ominous message, "Everyone has something to lose," was written, a phrase that the Wyatt Six tweeted out shortly before this week's Raw. The question now is what Kross can do to protect Scarlett, as it's very clear she has become the target of the Wyatt Six in this war of mind games. The Wyatt Six outsmarted and humiliated Karrion Kross by getting into their base and targeting Scarlett, and now Kross and his allies will have to fire back in some way next week. Since Bad Blood, Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes have been at war, as Owens would ambush his former friend after the show went off the air. Owens has claimed that Rhodes betrayed him by teaming with Roman Reigns, and now a title match has been confirmed for the two at Saturday night's main event. The show will be WWE's first Saturday night's main event PLE since 2008, and we'll see Owens try and win the title he failed to capture from Rhodes back at Bash in Berlin in August. What do you make of Cody versus Owens 2? Will Rhodes retain, or will Owens make history and end the title reign of Cody? Let us know who you're rooting for down in the comments section. In late November 2014, Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods competed as a trio for the first time, and thus, one of WWE's most popular groups, The New Day, was born. Now, a decade later, WWE is rolling out the red carpet for The New Day as a special celebration has been confirmed for the December 2nd edition of Raw. The show will see a live tribute celebrating the group's many accomplishments, including their impressive 483-day reign as tag team champions that was once the longest ever. This celebration comes amid Big E's ongoing hiatus from the ring as he's sidelined with a neck injury, while Woods and Kofi continue to get on the same page while competing. Nevertheless, this won't just be a trip down memory lane, but a celebration of the New Day's impact that's seen everything from tossing pancakes to winning World Championship gold. Are you ready to celebrate 10 years of the New Day? Do you think Woods and Kingston will be able to coexist next week? Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. Before their tag team match with Alpha Academy, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods vowed to squash their recent issues, problems that led to a tense confrontation with the Academy last week. The short-lived match saw any fleeting goodwill in the New Day disappear as Woods tagged himself in and fell victim to Otis's Caterpillar and a sky-high senton from Tozawa. After the defeat, Kofi and Woods argued as they left the ring, with Woods yelling about running the play as he tagged himself in only to lose shortly after. Backstage, Kofi yelled at Woods about their failures, and these continued tensions come ahead of the group's 10-year celebration on next week's Raw. Kingston said that there was a reason why he and Big E never let him run his own plays as he takes too many risks, but Woods fired back with a dig at Kofi's career. Woods said that it was his pushing of Kofi to take risks that saw Kingston become WWE champion, and Kofi fired back, saying that he was a Hall of Fame contender before they ever met. Kingston dragged Woods for never holding a singles title of his own, and Woods fired a major shot when he spoke of Kofi dropping the ball by losing the WWE title in seconds to Brock Lesnar. The New Day may be beyond repair at this point, which makes next week's segment all the more interesting, and after this segment, WWE tweeted a bunch of broken heart emojis. What's your take on the New Day's run? Can their friendship be repaired, or has the damage been done for good? Let us know what you think down in the comments section. The WWE Universe was treated to a monumental announcement just before the November 25th episode of Raw, as Adam Pearce unveiled the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Unveiled during a special pre-show segment, this new title marks a pivotal step forward for WWE's women's division. Pearce announced that a tournament to determine the inaugural champion will begin next week, setting the stage for an exciting new chapter on Raw. The introduction of this championship brings fresh opportunities for rivalries and storylines while expanding the spotlight on WWE's talented female roster. The timing adds another layer of excitement as SmackDown is currently hosting its Women's United States title tournament. With Raw now introducing its own signature prize for the women's division, the competition across brands is heating up. Who do you think will rise to the occasion and claim the honor of being the first Women's Intercontinental Champion? Share your thoughts and predictions below. And we're ending with Raw, where the LWO American-made rivalry saw Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee come up short against the Creeds. The faces were poised to win until Chad Gable interfered and blinded Rey with his own mask, allowing Julius to get a tainted roll-up win in a match which saw stellar chemistry. Julius really shined here as he showcased his athleticism, and with the right team winning, this served as the latest chapter in this feud instead of its deciding one.